Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Data Exchange podcast. Today, we've got a very special guest, Rohini Kasturi, the CEO of HG Insights.
Wonderful, John. Thanks for having me.
We're excited to have you. Um, HG Insights, in my opinion, is one of the most important companies in the market when it comes to technographic intelligence, market understanding, and helping companies move up market with precision. Maybe to start, for listeners who may not know you yet, can you share a bit about your background and what ultimately drew you to lead HG Insights?
Wonderful, John. Sure. So my background, so I was a customer of Hedgie prior to joining Hedgie like a year and a half back. So I was at a public company called SolarWinds as their chief product and technology officer. Of course, I've held senior roles in several private equity companies, public companies, and even a founder-led startup as well. So I've been in the Silicon Valley last 25 years, been associated with technology companies, businesses all the time. So yeah, it's a great time to be at Hedgie. And what really drove me here is, if you look at Hedgie has very unique insights, that can help go-to-market teams achieve revenue growth. And when I looked at that deep insight and intelligence that the company has, and the market timing around data and AI, and the shift that businesses are doing to really embrace data and AI to drive their revenue growth and transformation, that's what I felt the market timing for NG is so right. And that's what drove me to NG.
Very cool. How do you define HG Insights' mission today, and how has that mission evolved since you took the helm?
Yeah, so our mission really is how do we help customers drive revenue growth through our intelligence, right? So that's really the one liner. And for us, the revenue growth is in three dimensions. It's driving top line growth, achieving customer retention. The third one is operational efficiency, and everything that we do at NG revolves around this. And that's why if you look at our solutions, they're all called revenue growth solutions, whether it's called the revenue growth intelligence platform, revenue growth intelligence fabric, and even what you're putting together in terms of revenue growth intelligence solutions is all around how do you create your own growth playbook, and how do you move your revenue growth from X million dollars of ARR to 2x and 3x based on data and AI.
Very cool. What do you think most companies still misunderstand when it comes to truly understanding their market and where real buying intent exists?
So if you look at see a lot of companies when they're building their growth plans, it's based on historical financial projections. It's based on some sets of wins and losses, or based on the high level market sizing that data that they get from analysts, right? But the reality is you have an ideal customer profile. You have some wins, you have some losses. You want to take that and really calculate your TAM, total addressable market, SAM, serviceable addressable market, and also SOM, which is what can you obtain based on your product strategy, go-to-market strategy, and how do you really map your ICP to your SOM makes it very interesting, right? So if you're able to do that, then you can get a very prescriptive set of customer lists that you can target. And that is what is the missing part, right? People are operating at a high level, then you keep trying to get customers, and then your conversion rates suffer, your cost of sales is high, your cost of marketing is high. All of these are the challenges, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And companies are still investing so much into this whole ABM strategy. And in some cases, like we're talking investing hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars to break into a single account. And I think, you know, making sure you break down that ICP, TAM, SAM all the way to SOM to help you drive those target account decisions is really what decides whether you're going to succeed or fail.
Totally.
Um,
Totally.
where do technographics fit into that picture, and why are they like often misunderstood or underutilized?
Yeah. So if you take ABM, for example, that you mentioned, it's all about precision targeting. If you want to precisely target the customers, you need to know your ICP. Based on that, your ICP, you need to get your SOM list or serviceable obtainable list, market list, which is a list of accounts. Then you need to be able to know what is your white space, what is your competition. If you are not aware of that, then it becomes challenging. So this is where technographics come into picture, because with using technographics, you will know what products or technologies that are being used by customers. So you can look at the white space, you can start going into each account and say what products do they use, what technologies do they use, right? So this is very important. That's one aspect, right, that we provide as part of revenue growth intelligence. The second two parts that we also are very differentiating is the spend intelligence. One is about knowing your white space or your competition, but then when you go into the account, you want to know how much do they spend. Like for example, let's say you're selling a firewall. How much did they spend on security today? How much did they spend on firewalls today? Having that precise insights at a product level or a technology level is very important. And the third one is intent. Hey, are these buyers, are these prospects, are they in market today? Are they trying to look for something to buy? Because if you know that, then you can precisely target who is in the market today and how much do they spend, what products do they use, and completely map it with a very precise message using ABI.
Very cool. Yeah, I mean, HG is often described as having the most accurate technographic intelligence in the market. I'm interested, like, what fundamentally differentiates your data from what else is out there?
Yeah, so a couple of things. One is we have been curating this data from 50 odd sources over 15 years now. So one thing that differentiates in our technographics is really the time series. So we have, for example, you go to Cisco's website. You want to know their products, it's available on their website, right? So it lists down their products. But if you want to know the firewalls that are still in the market that are not end of life, that distributors, partners in different parts of the world are using, you need a lot of historical information, right? So we have robust technographics that we have built over 15 years. So we have technographics with time series data that makes it very differentiating. The second part is we have behind the firewall signaling information that uniquely helps us make sure our technographics is high quality. And then what we did is we took the technographics mode that we have, we applied to various elements in our intelligence fabric. We applied that to firmographics to make sure our firmographics are differentiated. We apply that to intent. We get the top of the funnel intent from various providers that are out there, but we apply the context to that intent, which is we call
Mm,
contextual intent. Now with the Trust ADS acquisition we did, we have the buyer intent. We again apply the technographics context to that to make the a contextual intent. So even the spend intelligence uses the technographic. So all of it uses that mode that we have, but applies to firmographics, applies to time series, applies to spend intelligence, applies to intent, applies to the partner intelligence, etc. That makes our revenue growth intelligence fabric like very unique and compelling. That's why you keep
very cool.
hearing, hey, you are high quality in the depth and the matching and so on.
So, would it be safe to say that other vendors in this technographic market, like number one, the time series, but you guys also have spend. I know some metrics around cloud, like cloud spend, which cloud, et cetera. And then now layering intent, some type of intent onto that technology footprint. And then overall the accuracy sounds like where you're leading.
100%, 100%. So one thing that we did this year, John, is what we announced in July is called the Revenue Growth Intelligence Fabric. It's a combination of our firmographics that we curate, high quality firmographics that we curate on a real time basis. There's technographics. Then we have spend intelligence that was an acquisition that we did a few years back. Then we have intent, three types of intent: top of the funnel intent, middle of the funnel intent where we map context. Then we have the buyer intent, which is more bottom of the funnel intent. Then we have partner intelligence, contract intelligence. What we did is we took all these intelligences that we have, disparate data intelligence sources, aggregated at an account level. So if you take a prospect like SAP, we have intelligence, all these types of intelligence aggregated at the account level. So it's easy to go into SAP and say, okay, for SAP, I need all types of intelligence. And then using this, we also built a buying group intelligence or the functional area intelligence, which is not only talking about, hey, SAP, we have intelligence about SAP, but we now have intelligence at a group level, right? The next step we are doing is mapping contacts. So it becomes easy for a salesperson or a marketer to know, okay, I know which group in SAP is using what products and how much are they spending. But by the way, are they in market? If so, who is that person? Right? Mapping that contact helps us really navigate this extremely well, and helps go-to-market teams navigate extremely well.
Very cool. Yeah, I know that you guys have kind of two delivery mechanisms. One is a robust platform that a lot of you have many users on, and then there's another offering which is more of these data deliveries that are more of the raw files, and I'm wondering, um, you know, is the data science community and data warehousing community um, kind of strong customer segment for you? Is that where you see a lot of your customers getting major value, is when they take those raw data assets and start to analyze them in their big data environments?
Yeah, no, another good question, John. So we do have, call it broadly, two categories of customers. One category of customers has say, hey, you know what, give me your intelligence, your data, right, for X number of companies based on the ICP, but I want various types of intelligence. They take that, which is third party data, they combine it with their first party data and other sources that they have, and they do their own automations. All these are data science teams and large scale companies who have, you know, they have resources to actually mine the data, creating their own agents and solutions. That's one cohort. The second cohort is they don't have huge data teams or analytics teams. It's smaller teams, usually less than $1 billion companies, because they are very lean in terms of overall resourcing. For them, they need a ready-made platform. For them, we have a SaaS platform. It's an agentic platform. So when you log into the agentic platform, there are three agentic apps we provide. It's addresses like roughly 10 different use cases. For example, market analyzer agentic app helps you, take your ICP win losses and create your TAM SAM song, right? And then there is a RevOps studio, which is you can do propensity modeling, scoring, right? Best fit models, territory planning, account planning, etc. Then there is a sales agentic app where the sales agentic app is taking the entire third-party intelligence, and for all the accounts a salesperson has, it provides intelligence from the entire third party. But we also have a first-party, second-party integrations framework,
Oh,
right? So it connects with Salesforce, HubSpot, etc., outreach, and many other tools. It takes the intelligence, combines it with the third party, and it shows up in the account base. So it's very dynamic, updated from first party sources, second party sources like LinkedIn, and then the third party sources like what we have, all aggregated at an account level, providing that intelligence to sales teams. But then it can also do, let's say you are given a lead by marketing, it can do scoring, it can do best fit modeling, prioritization, everything, and it can provide you account briefs. And it connects to outreach, so you can start even nurturing that through the sales agentic app, right? So that's the ready-made solution we have for and growth customers or less than $1 billion customers.
are a lot of those kind of agentic features new? A lot of that sounds very new to me. I mean, I've
Yeah,
been very close to the HG platform for many years, and even some of that stuff sounds new to me. So tell us a little bit about
yeah.
that.
No, fantastic question. So I know you've been associated with Hedgie for a long time. So Hedgie had a platform, has that platform still, which is basically doing a lot of market research kind of use case where you can go dig deeper into the intelligence that we have. Then we created a market analyzer Copilot agentic app in July. We launched that. And then we did an acquisition in August, which is Mad Kudu. Mad Kudu was an agentic platform. It has a sales agentic app and a RevOps agentic app. What we did now effectively last month is we brought all of these three agentic apps into one common platform. It's when you log in, it's one single sign-on, one experience. But there are three different agentic apps, but all powered by our revenue growth intelligence fabric, which is intelligence for 20 million odd companies across all these dimensions. Now the fabric is suddenly enriched, the platform is suddenly enriched with the fabric, but also that platform has all these first party, second party integrations with 30 odd integrations. So that is something that we have pretty much gotten ready with all the integration of Mad Kudu and Edgy platforms. And we'll be announcing that again in January, very shortly.
Very cool. I've been through a lot of acquisitions in my day, and congratulations to you guys for such a quick integration. I've seen even acquisitions I was part of, 10, 20 years ago, still not be integrated into a full product suite. So that's super exciting. And you guys must be doing really efficient work over there. We'll get back to the acquisitions in a moment. That's part of our talk track here. But if you had to be very clear, where does HG deserve to win versus competitors? And what are the use cases or customer types you feel the strongest kind of fit into that?
See, Hedgie is the company, I would say, for the agentic world. Like especially if you want to build agentic apps are only good if your data is good, right? You need high quality data, but you need different dimensions of data for to guide your sales teams, you guide your marketing teams, right? Sometimes you need the spend intelligence. The reason you need spend intelligence is, let's say you're doing a competitive takeout. Okay, you want to know, and let's say you have a customer, a prospect is using a product that is very similar to yours. You want to know how much do they spend, and what are they doing, where are they in the buying cycle or using cycle, etc., etc. So you need time series similarly. Hey, how long have they been using, right? So you need various types of dimensions of data to really guide the marketing and sales effectively, and you need all those dimensions to prioritize. Otherwise, you might be getting into an account which is 5-year old account, and the customer is deeply enriched with so much footprint, and you might be trying to displace that account, might be a very hard thing, might take time, because especially if you have no intention to displace it, right? The sales is much harder in that case than displacing something where they're ready to displace, right? So having all these types of intelligence is going to be key. That is where that's one of the excitements for me joining Hedgie, right? Like this differentiating data, and the company has been doing ML for a while, even before I joined, right? Machine learning for a while. But then we realized there are a lot of AI tools that will help curate our data much faster, so we can get to 100 million accounts of coverage in the next 9 months. That's a compelling story, right? So for the agentic world, so we are the revenue growth intelligence for the agentic world, and that's where we deserve to win, and we deserve to be positioned. And more importantly, if you're a CEO or a CX or CRO, CMO thinking about revenue growth, you need the revenue growth intelligence, right? And you need to know what's my growth strategy, what's my retention strategy, what's my efficiency strategy, and that's kind of where we fall right in the horizon, John.
Very cool. I think that kind of leads me into the next topic, which um, is kind of the partnerships OEM resellers kind of world where it's not just brands building internal AI agentic use cases that it sounds like you guys want to enable, but also, brands that are building agentic solutions that are going to service thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions of customers. And kind of historically, HG was more cautious about OEM and resale models. What has kind of changed in your thinking along that line?
Yeah, so I think a few things have changed the thinking along that line. One, and first and foremost, is what we realize is the opportunity that the company has is much, much bigger than what we have captured, right? We are sitting on a huge TAM ourselves, but then how do we capture that faster, right? That's one. The second is customers are trying to build applications, agent solutions, whatever we want to call them, right? If they are doing it, they need the best in class intelligence, and they're going to do it in different form factors. They're going to do it in ecosystems. They are going to leverage some platforms. They're going to build their own agents internally, we have all combinations that exist from the customer side. When we look at that, and the third element is how much capture did we do as of today from our brand, from our own internal sales effort. When we look at our context and what's our opportunity, when there is a huge gap, right? We have a huge opportunity to grow this business, and that's where we said, hey, you know what? How do we maximize this potential? Because there are various types of agentic workflows getting created. For example, Play, right? Play has created a beautiful platform for agentic workflows, but the underpinning is the data and intelligence, right? So we are a premier partner to Play, right? So if customers are building agentic workflows for marketing, and marketing or RevOps is building it, but they need the best in class intelligence, right? And there are other go to market platforms doing something very different, but the intelligence is going to be key because the intelligence types that they use is very different from the intelligence types that are being used by other personas or platforms, right? So we do have like 10, 15 varieties of data that we have that we brought together. So given that flexibility that we have, and given that we can power a lot of use cases, that's what changed our strategy to say, you know what, okay, how do we now make sure the distribution gets effective? How do we support customers to solve different use cases for different platforms and different ecosystems? And that is what is driving our decision to be present through partners, OEMs, and other mechanisms or ecosystems and so on.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean you guys are still not going to be very cautious about what partners you're looking to work with. So with that being said, when you think about partnerships, what matters most in that alignment to make sure that somebody's right for HG to partner with?
It's truly the end customer value and what is a joint solution. Like, what is that 1 + 1 that's equal to 3, right? If we see that clearly, that a end customer problem can be solved, we have best in class, intelligence or agents to provide, but the customer or the partner has other complementary nature things to provide. When we put this integration together, it shortens, time to value for a customer, right? It brings significant value for a customer. That is what is a gratifying result we need because we want to solve customers' problems, and that's the crux of any solution, any partnership, John. As you know this, well, we've been around the block for years now.
Yeah, very cool. And from your perspective, what role do like curated marketplaces like SpringDB's data exchange or Snowflake's data marketplace play in helping HG reach more of these partnership or upmarket buyers?
Yeah, so I would summarize it into my favorite terms: speed, scale, economics, right? One is speed because it's for customer. If a company like SpringDB is curated, right? Doing a lot of pre-work for a customer, that's a curated data set. It saves a lot of time, right? That's speed in terms of operationalizing the data. The second one is scale. Hey, if I'm trying to build an agentic app, or I'm trying to roll some solution out to my RevOps, marketing, or sales, I need something that can help scale, right? I need coverage for more companies, more types of intelligence. The third one is economics, right? If you're able to solve it, and the team that is specialized in a particular set of problems, they know it, they solve it, then it always brings economics as well to the end customer. So all of this is what is driving our engagement, our partnership.
Very cool. Maybe we can switch this into little bit of a tactical conversation now about the data assets. On the firmographic coverage, is the database a domestic or global data set?
It's a global data set. So the key here is, so we have these sources that we procure, like I said, for over 15 years. What happened historically is we only mined technographics out of that data sets that we got, right? Okay. Now the same data sets are useful to mine firmographics, to mine other types of intelligence as well, like for example, skills as well. And you can mine more types too. We started using, a big company, firmographics, few years for a long time. What we realized is that the firmographics weren't getting curated. on a real-time basis. Now, what happens is when you combine that with the firmographics that are technographics that are getting cleansed and updated real-time basis, then overall, the end customer problem isn't getting solved. So we went into starting curating our own firmographics from all the sources we have. Now we have created a whole, call it an AI data platform underneath that is curating all of this at scale. Now we want to significantly improve the coverage, and especially with the AI tools, you're able to do a lot of problems like data matching, quality, etc. You
Hmm.
can solve them at scale. So that's why you're able to solve this at scale. But again, everything that we have is a global data coverage. It covers all the regions, MEA, APAC, etc. Absolutely.
Very cool. And do you have a hierarchy structure for businesses in your taxonomy?
Yeah, 100%. Hierarchies is something that the company had for a while, but this is something we have never advertised as a capability or a feature, right? So I think that's something that definitely exists. And the next thing we are also doing is mapping or making our taxonomy best in class, right? By mapping to industry leading taxonomies, so customers have flexibility to pick our taxonomy versus other vendors' taxonomy. That also changes the game because that gives customers a choice because on how they do it, what they do it, and etc.
Yeah, I built the whole business on allowing users to segment whatever taxonomy they wanted from their data sources into their own desired taxonomy. And so that's definitely a big one there. And if you guys can get businesses to standardize on that taxonomy, it can be
Yeah,
game changing.
totally,
Um,
totally.
on the firmographic side, let's just forget the technographics for a second. Do you know about how many attributes you have in the taxonomy that cover businesses?
I have no idea, John, honestly.
Okay. Okay. What
I
about
simply don't do it.
technologies? Do you know about how many technologies that HG is tracking today?
So we are progressing towards 64,000 products is what we
Wow.
are progressing towards very shortly. And we want to cover at least 100,000 B2B companies. While if we apply all the all the other sub entities, it will become even 150,000. So we want to provide the widest coverage, in terms of overall data coverage. We want to be best in class in coverage, quality, and taxonomy, and then multi-dimensional, right? So the data fabric that we have is our differentiating mode because
Very
of all these sources of data types that we have in place. Yeah.
and did I hear you mention something about contacts and skills?
Yes.
Is there something that you want to talk about there?
Yes. So we have done a partnership with a couple of contact providers, right, which do like enriched contacts or waterfall enriched contacts, because which they curate at scale globally. That way, what happens is when a customer is looking for contacts for a particular prospect at a group level or a company level, they want contacts. So that is something that we have included in our platform effectively right now. It's part of our platform. It powers our sales agentic app. So the sales team have contacts, access to the contacts. The next thing is we're including that contacts into the fabric as well. So that will be available very shortly.
Well, that's some big news. I think
Yes.
that's great. That's big news.
Yes, and then adding the skills data, scrubbing it through the same sources we have is part of our plans as well.
Yeah, I
That's
mean, it's like, hey,
part of it.
if this company's been using S3 for 15 years and they have, out of their 30 cloud infrastructure people, 29 of them have three different AWS S3 or developer skills, you're probably going to have a hard time displacing that, that
Correct,
technology, right?
correct, totally, totally.
And the other way around, if they've been using it for 5 years, but they of their 10 developers, five of them have expertise in a competing platform, like pick up the phone and call those guys right away, right?
Exactly, exactly,
Very
exactly.
cool.
Yeah.
Um, We're almost done here, but I have just a few more questions. HG did make two very strategic acquisitions. We mentioned a little bit earlier, Mad Kudo and Trust Radius. What was the core thesis behind bringing those companies together under HG?
Yeah, no, great question. So the whole thesis behind MacKudu is MacKudu went into customers. They built agentic apps, like I said, the sales agentic app and the RevOps agentic app. And when they reached out to customers and they started working with a lot of enterprise customers, they said, "Hey, can you power those apps through Hedgie's data?" So they went and built on top of Hedgie's data. Okay, and they did a partnership with us, and they built our agentic apps on that. And then it became very natural for us as we built our market analyzer agentic app, and we were looking at how do we expand it to multi-persona. Then we found MadKudu. MadKudu already built agentic apps on our Edge's data, and it was very slam dunk acquisition because we were able to bring it. And we said, hey, great, it's already ready to go on day one, the day we acquired, because they integrated with the Edge's data and intelligence. So that's what drove it. But also the fact that we can address multiple personas in an enterprise. Sales is something that we weren't able to serve in the past with our prior platform, and similarly RevOps. RevOps was using all our data sources heavily, but there was no app where you can do propensity modeling and scoring and so on, right? So we were able to solve that very quickly through MacKudu acquisition. The TrustRadius acquisition is basically, if you look at it, TrustRadius has a lot of unique data about the buyers. They have always been focused on B2B buyers. They have developed a robust taxonomy. They have coverage for 64,000 products. They have reviews for 64,000 products, many companies. And what we realized was that buyer intent is going to be critical, because what happens is when customers go to a TrustRadius website, they're doing reviews. TrustRadius had something called long form reviews. It's not like a one-liner reviews that, hey, product is good or StingDB is good, but it will detail out a lot of pros and cons about the company, the products, etc. So a lot of deep intelligence about various products, which buyers tend to come in. They do research. It's very useful for their research. It was meant to be a research site. They can compare products. They can do deep competitive analysis between two companies or two products. So what TrustRadius did was, one is this buyer reviews led to buyer intent, especially as they came in to compare products, and depending on how much time they spend, they could determine where are they in the intent. Because the more time they spend, let's say they're spending, they would they would do some AI automation sequencing with the buyer or the prospect, and then say, hey, are you really in the market looking for such a product? And then they next created a product called IDL, intent driven leads. Intent driven lead is basically, now you know that, hey, this buyer has been researching this product. They go do automation sequence. They go work with demand gen agencies and actually do some outbound sequencing to actually make a lead out of it. And that would become an intent driven lead. And what
Mm,
we saw was in our due diligence that 70% of the buyers who are in market convert in 3 months or less. So we said that ties exactly to the sales copilot, because imagine the sales teams, besides giving them an agentic app, you give them the leads as well that are going to convert in 3 months. There's nothing better that you can provide, right? So
yeah.
it's basically giving a sales team the leads that are going to convert in 3 months and giving them all the tools that will help them close the deals. So we said, okay, that Nirvana was good. So we took that, and the buyer intent is something that we didn't that is not existent in our fabric. And the data intelligence corpus that Prestigious has is very unique and complementary. So we said, okay, it makes sense to bring that together, right? So so now what we're doing is, with the acquisitions and the mergers or the integrations we've done, the buyer intent is now included in the fabric. We're including all the reviews also into the fabric, but we are making the reviews to revenue. How do you convert reviews to revenue is a use case on the platform. So when you log into the platform, the SaaS platform, you can, as a vendor, you can start looking at the reviews and you can see how to convert those reviews into revenue, because by doing brand marketing, customer marketing, you're leveraging those reviews. So there are a lot of interesting use cases that are differentiating and compelling, and that's what drove the acquisition of Australia's.
Very cool. So you when we say HG Insights has intent data, you're not like most of the other companies going and outsourcing third-party intent from one of the handful of B2B intent players. You actually have intent data from a trusted review site that gives you everything from top of funnel, like who's scratching the surface of doing the research to, hey, who's at the end of the funnel ready to buy in the next 90 days.
100%, 100%. So we do have our own, call it the secret sauce intent, which is the buyer intent about the buyers who are in market right now. That's a very bottom of the funnel intent. The second is we also partner with intent providers. We get the top of the funnel intent and we layer in context, which is the technographic context. We call it contextual intent because we know that a company X is looking for a firewall. But then you layer in the technographics that they have, we know who is in market, and it's a contextual intent. So we aggregate all of this at an account level. That's why it's an intent aggregation solution, and it's a contextual intent along with buyer intent.
Very cool.
That makes it very, very unique. Yeah.
So really any company who has an ABM strategy that's selling technology solutions, this should be a piece of that strategy.
100%, 100%, because there is very, very differentiating, compelling data sets that bring revenue growth into light, and that's what we are excited about.
Very cool. Just finishing up, looking ahead 2 or 3 years, how do you want people to describe HG Insights?
I want customers to describe Edgy as it was the core underpinning for our revenue growth. Hey, we were able to build our growth playbook or the revenue growth playbook using Edgy's intelligence. Like, so we know if you're growing our revenue from 100 million to 500 million or 500 million to 3 billion, hey, we were able to create a growth strategy or a growth playbook using all the types of intelligence they have. And based on that, I have a real playbook that is guiding my strategy teams, my RevOps teams, my sales teams, my marketing teams. So they're all orchestrating revenue growth. And that's how we're able to grow revenue, right? And we want to be that revenue growth intelligence solution for the agentic world. And that's what we're excited about, Joe.
Very cool. Where can listeners follow HG's journey or learn more about working with your team?
Best place is our website, edgeinsights.com. Of course, we do have updates regularly on LinkedIn and other places, but always look forward to hearing feedback from customers, partners, and in this process, and always sharing and learning. So
Awesome. Well, Rohini, this has been an incredibly insightful conversation. Thanks for sharing the vision behind HG and how you're thinking about the future of data, partnerships, and market intelligence. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning into the Data Exchange podcast. We'll see you in the next episode.
wonderful, John. Thank you for having me.